So as you've heard, the fears of waterborne diseases becoming a reality, and today, that's Wednesday, Mozambique confirming 5 cases of cholera around the badly damaged port city of Beira after the powerful cyclone which killed more than 700 people across the swathe of southern Africa. The relief focus has increasingly turned to preventing or containing what many believe will be an inevitable outbreak of diseases like malaria and cholera. Now, to talk a little bit more about the impact of the cyclone in Malawi and Zimbabwe, here in our studio is Malawi's acting High Commissioner to South Africa, Gloria Bamusi, and in our Pretoria studios is Zimbabwe's ambassador to South Africa, David Hamadziripi. A very good evening to you both, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Ambassador, a very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us as well.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much.
And perhaps let me start with you, Ambassador, just in terms of the current death toll in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe being the second most affected by the cyclone. What is the current death toll, and do we know the current number of people that are missing?
Yes, we do have the figures for the deaths. Presently, we have about 185 people who are reported dead, 186 who are reported injured, 350 are missing, and you have about 7,358 adults and 3,500 children who have been displaced. And you have 7,703 homesteads that have been destroyed. These figures, of course, will always be changing as more areas become accessible, because presently we still have some areas, particularly in Chimanimani, which are inaccessible because of washed away bridges and destroyed roads.
So what is the situation in Chimanimani now as we speak? Is the worst over?
In Chimanimani, as we speak, some of the areas are now accessible, and food is indeed being distributed, and other requirements, medical supplies, water. But some other areas in Chimanimani have to be accessed from the air, and that is also happening. We are aware, for instance, that the World Food Programme has a helicopter that is in fact being used with financial assistance from the European Union to bring supplies to some of the people in that area.
Okay, Ambassador, we'll come to the issue of supplies in just a moment. Acting High Commissioner, obviously the heavy rains have abated and much of the rescue operations are at an advanced stage in Malawi. But what is the current death toll for Malawi?
Thank you. As for Malawi, as we talk now, the current death toll stands at 60. 60 people have died currently.
And I know that you were also affected by it, but not as badly as the other two. But at some point, the lower Shire River districts of Chikwawa and Nsanje in the south were in danger of flooding, and engineers were working to open the sluice gates. How's that operation going?
I can say that the operation is going on well, but still we require more and more aid in this regard, because some areas are still inaccessible. So the situation is still dire, and we do require that assistance.
Which areas would this be, apart from the ones that I've mentioned?
Apart from the rescue operation efforts, we do need shelter. The people also need food. The people require medical supplies, simply because of the issue of waterborne diseases, the talk of cholera, malaria in this regard.
Have there been reported cases in Malawi?
As of now, we do not have a record of cholera, but you and I believe that in situations like this is a most likely event that can take place.
So we'll come back to the aid that is needed in Malawi. Ambassador, have there been any recorded cases of cholera or malaria in Zimbabwe as yet?
According to the information I have, no, we do not have any reports yet and we do hope that we will not get any reports of an outbreak of cholera or malaria or any of such other diseases.
Ambassador, the Acting High Commissioner said it's a dire humanitarian situation, and during situations like this where people are desperate and they're hungry and they're stranded, it is very sad when the issue of politics or political bias enters into it. But I have to ask this question. There are allegations that ZANU-PF is hoarding much needed aid and giving it to only those who are loyal to the governing party. What is your response to that?
There have been such reports, but what I can inform you is that the government has been very clear. The aid that's going to be distributed to all the needy is going to be done in an impartial and in a humane manner. This morning we had a delegation from the European Union and the United Nations and other agencies who are involved also in these relief efforts, and they met with the leadership in Manicaland province, and they were given that very categoric assurance that the food is going to be distributed.
So how will it be distributed, Ambassador? Because some of the reports that are coming through is that ward councillors who are from ZANU-PF are charged with the distribution. Party agents in ZANU-PF cars are seen loading the much needed aid into their cars and going nobody knows where. How is the distribution going to be carried out?
The president declared a state of disaster in the affected provinces and districts, and that declaration triggered the placing of structures that in fact start from the national level right down to the district level. What happened, the incident that you may be referring to, is that, as I said, there are some areas, particularly in Chimanimani, which are not accessible easily, and you need some special terrain vehicles, or you need some of these 4x4 vehicles. And some of the ZANU-PF people are reported to have gone and offered their vehicles to assist to deliver that aid and those supplies. But the government has taken the position and said there is not going to be any political party involvement in the distribution of food aid. And the government is sincere about that.
Okay, Acting High Commissioner, coming to Malawi, what are the infrastructural challenges in being able to reach those who have been most affected and who are in need of aid that Malawi is facing at the moment? You said you need more aid. Perhaps speak to the international community, tell them what your needs are. Thank you.
As it is in Malawi, our infrastructural problems or needs are that some of the roads are impassable, and some of the bridges have been washed away. And there are also some other isolated incidences whereby people are isolated. So,
which areas are we looking at the moment where people have been isolated?
In Lower Shile itself, districts like in Sanje, Chikwawa, and also Palombe is really hardly hit, where it is hard for the aid workers to reach out to the people. So some bridges have been really torn apart, and to reach them, it can only be done by boats and air, which is expensive.
Give us a sense of the most vulnerable, because we know that there are child-headed households, we know that there are single-headed households, there are children who've been separated and even been orphaned by the cyclone. So what kind of conditions do they face at the moment?
It's really a psychosocial problem, whereby children have been separated from their parents, and also some parents have lost their little ones. So it's really a traumatic situation, especially on the part of the children and the women. And as it is estimated that over 10,000 children have been affected with this. And I talked about the gap, the financial gap and the like. a needs assessment was undertaken already by the government of Malawi that we need up to 43,000 million US dollars. As we talk now, the resources that have been mobilized are estimated up to 12 million US dollars. So we have a resource gap of up to 30, if not 31 million US dollars.
Ambassador, what are your calculations? I know there's been aid coming into Zimbabwe, even as of today. Tanzania, I think, has more than 200 tons of food that have been coming in, and from other countries. Is there a resource gap that you face, that you have calculated is needed from the international community?
Yes, indeed. Yesterday, the government issued a domestic and international appeal for assistance. And in this document, the total figure that we are looking at is the Zimbabwe local money. You need about $933,627,000 for short to medium term requirements. We also need about $34,639,000 US dollars to meet these short to medium term requirements, and these include shelter, medicines, we need clothing, but we are also looking at plant and equipment, seeds and fertilizers. So imbued in the emergency measures that we are taking is also the long-term planning in order to provide resilience to the victims of this natural disaster.
Just a quick and final question, Ambassador. There were reports that there were bodies of Zimbabweans found in Mozambique. Have you confirmed those reports?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Okay, no, unfortunately then we'll have to leave it there. Final word from you, Acting High Commissioner?
My final words are just to appeal to the international community and to all well-wishers out there that the need is still there in Malawi.
Thank you very much to both Zimbabwe's ambassador to South Africa in our Pretoria studios. That is David Hamadziripi, and here with me in studio, Malawi's Acting High Commissioner to South Africa, Gloria Bamusi. And that's it from the African Perspective team today. Next week, South Africa's 3 top parties unpack their foreign policies. The Globe is up next. Goodbye.